Hello, welcome to the Richardson Simple Living. My name's Maria, and if you're new here, I mainly vlog about homeschooling, urban homesteading and home life, which normally is cooking with my air fryer. I had my air fryer new at Christmas, and so I've been trying it out with all sorts of different things. So I just thought I'd bring you all with me, and that way I can get some tips. You can watch what I'm doing, see what is successful and what's not successful, because I will show it all. If it doesn't work out, I'll show that it doesn't work out, you know. But I thought it's a great place. We can get some tips on what we're doing, and not just for myself, but for everybody who watches and reads as well. So I thought today I'm going to do a cheese and potato pie. Now, I don't know where I got this recipe from. I've been doing it for donkey's years, and I've no idea where. It must have been a recipe I wrote down years ago, maybe from one of my mum's cookbooks or from something my mum or my gran did. I don't know, but I can't find the recipe anywhere. So we're going to have to wing it a little bit, especially as I'm doing it in the air fryer, and I've never done one in the air fryer before. So this is a bit of trial and experiment, and of course it's going to have a pastry base. So I've not done pastry in the air fryer, and that's going to be really new to me, and I'm not sure how that's going to turn out. So we'll just see if we can wing it. So yeah, we'll make a start on it anyway. I was saying to you, see if I can bring it across, but I'm not sure how close to bring it. I was saying to you before, if you've seen previously, that I want to use things that are out of my freezers. I really do need to get to the bottom of them and start using things that are in there. So this is what I've done. The reason I'm making cheese and potato pie, apart from the fact we do like it. We're going to have some pastry. Now that's just one normal lot of pastry. 8 ounces of plain flour, 2 of marge and 2 of lard. Or in my case, I often put in 4 of the stalk. It's like a baking, it's not a lard, it's not a butter, it's sort of in between type of thing, but it's a stalk one anyway. So I batch make my pastries. I make about 8 to 12 balls at a time and pop them in the freezer. So when I'm going to do a meal, I can take one out. So I've got a few in there at the moment, and they've been in there since before Christmas. So really I do need to start using them. So I thought that's great. We'll just use that for the base. So that's just one normal amount of pastry. Cheese. There's a pound of cheese in this bag, already grated, that I took out the freezer. Now I buy big blocks of cheese from Aldi, about £4-ish for the. I'm going like that. I'm not that big. Sort of the biggish box, the biggest ones they've got in there anyway. And what I do, and I bring them home, I grate them, and I put them in separate bags. So if I'm having a party or anything like that, I will do a good sized bag. If it's just for normal use, I will split it into smaller bags, depending on what I'm using it for. Well, this is a pound of cheese. So this was a bigger bag because I froze it just before Christmas, expecting to use it for Christmas. But I did a few of them, and this one was left, just the one left. So before I do more and put more into the freezer, I thought we'll use this one. So we've got, that's just normal cheddar, by the way, just a normal mild cheddar. I can't have a strong cheddar. Normally when you're cooking with cheese, a stronger cheddar is better for the flavour. But because I suffer acid and gut problems, I can't really have too strong a cheese. And plus, Sean won't eat it. You have to adapt to your family, don't you? That's what it's all about, into adapting. So I'll bring you down a bit. I feel like you're up in the air a bit. And I've said before about smash. I've got, well, this is actually the last one. This one's nearly empty. I've got this smash to use. This has got to be used by the end of May. So I thought, well, we'll use that. This could be disastrous because I'm not very good with this. This will only be the second time I've used it. I did use it on the cottage pie, if anybody's seen that one, when I did cottage pie in the air fryer. It came out all right. It was okay, but I had a bit of trouble mixing it because I'd got it a bit sloppy and kept pouring more in. But it does have instructions on the side, as somebody pointed out to me, which I never thought to look. Because I'm used to just doing everything, you know, any way I want. But it does have portion sizes, but I'm not really going to follow it too much because I'm not really sure how much I'm going to need, because normally if I'm doing it in the oven, I've got like a terracotta dish that is sort of so deep, but I'm having to use a sandwich tin because that's probably the closest to the depth I've got. It's not as high, but I'm just going to have to look out for pans and things that I can use in the air fryer, because it's new. Obviously I haven't got all these things and I'm adapting at the moment, so it's just going to be a bit of a smaller pie, but I don't think it matters on the size of the pie anyway. It'd be more like a flan size, but it's not a lot bigger. I mean, it's probably about that much higher, so it's not a lot bigger. So what I've done, I've lined it with one of these air fryer parchment papers. That's what I normally do when I'm baking cakes in these pans. I don't grease them, I just line them with grease-proof paper and find it a lot better myself. So yeah, I've got that lined ready. So what we're going to do, I might just do the mash first actually before we line the pan. This is the fun bit. And I forgot to get a fork out to mix it. That's a good start. So I think what I'll try and do is put a pint of water in and we'll go from there. Just reboil my kettle. I've boiled it once. And see, I've had to sort of guess at air fryer times as well, and what I could remember if I put it in the oven, because normally I put it in the oven on about a gas mark 5 or 6 and then leave it for about half an hour. But you know, in the oven you open the doors and you check if they look all right and things like that, or you can see through the doors and you can see what they're doing. But in the air fryer I can't see what it's doing, so I'm going to take it to an half an hour time, and sort of from a gas mark 6, mainly because I'm not sure about the pastry. I'm not sure how that will cook, having never done pastry in there. And of course when you've got pie you can't actually see the bottom of the pastry, only the edges of it. So it's trial and error, everything's trial and error. I mean, let me just bring you down a little bit so you can see this. You'll have to excuse you can't see me, see a bit of me. Well, I'm just going to fill it to a pint, roughly. And like I say, we'll take it from there. I don't burn myself, splashing myself. Right, so, which one's got the least in? I'm just going to tip all of this in, to be honest with you. I'll just tip all that in, and that'll be one gone out of the way. Because normally I would just use normal potatoes, peel them, boil them. How many potatoes normally I use, don't know, maybe about 6 biggish ones. Well, this is quite nice thickness actually. I'd rather have it thick, to be honest, because then you can add a bit of water. I find it easier doing that than doing it the other way around, having it running, keep adding more stuff. So I do find it better to do it like this. So that's a bit better, loosening up a bit, just making sure you've got it all mixed in the corners. And of course when I put the cheese in, that'll sort of loosen it a little bit, because it'll melt into it. That actually doesn't look too bad. See if I can see any dry bits. Might just put a fraction more water in. Thing is, everything is trial and error, isn't it? I mean, you can follow recipes to a T and they don't always work. It's not always like you want it to be, and it's not always like it looks on the picture, even if you follow it completely to the letter. And I mean, some of you may do some of these recipes I do, and it might be different, work out different for you than it does for me, and I don't know why these things happen, but it just does. Right, I don't think I can see any dry bits. I think I could have done them with a longer fork handle. I have got some, but I just picked the first thing up. I think that's all mixed. Right, I think actually what I'm going to do is pop it into here, because it will make it a lot easier for mixing the cheese in. Comes out quite nice out of here anyway. I mean, I imagine maybe you know, once you've made the general mix, if it's a little bit thick, I can't see why you couldn't put a drop of milk in it. You know, like if you mash your normal potatoes and you put some milk and butter into it, you know, I don't see why you can't do that. Normally, I think last time I mashed a bit of butter into it, but I don't know if I will this time because I'm putting cheese in it anyway. Well, everything's down to personal taste, isn't it? So we do want to save some cheese because we need to sprinkle some on the top. We'll just get the mash of it. I mean, this is a pound. I might use the pound of it because we are quite cheese orientated in this family. Save some there for the top. Let's see if we can mash this in now. I might need actually to put a bit of something into it. Might put a bit of milk into it. I don't know how it's going. It's all trial and error, trial and error. Sometimes more error than anything. But this is why I like you all to give me tips, because you know, it helps. Especially as I'm doing things for the first time sometimes, especially with the air fryer, because it is all like first time for me with the air fryer. I've never cooked these things in an air fryer before. You know, I think I'm going to just get a drop of milk just to pop in here. And in a second, we'll just go down to the fridge and we'll get a drop of milk for it. Look, pop a bit of full fat milk in. It'll be a bit creamier. Out of the way. Let's see how that goes, because it was a little thick. Last time I used smash, it was too thin. This time I've got it too thick. But like I say, I'm used to using normal potatoes. And when you've been doing it for years, you just seem to know automatically. You just do things automatically. But when you've got something new, you face something new, it's like, oh, what do I do with that? Right, I think that's all mashed in nicely. See if we can get that off there. See, at this point you could add some onions in, some chopped onions, or a bit of salt and pepper in with it, a few chopped onions if you like chopped onions. I mean, I'm not going to put salt and pepper in because I've used smash. I imagine there'll be salt in there anyway, and if I add more to it, you know, you don't want to go over what you should have really. So I'm not going to risk that. So I'm just going to leave that as it is because, like I say, the smash will have in what it needs. Right, we'll put that to one side a minute. If we've got room on one side. That's the only trouble. So what I'm going to do next, we'll just move some of this stuff out of the way, I think, because I want to roll some pastry. Put them on the side on the drainer. So I'm going to roll some pastry now. So we need a bit of flour to put on the side. It's very useful when you do all these things in advance. I mean, it's a bit of a pain at the time you're doing it. It's like you need a day for doing all this work. It's like what I was saying the other week about harvest time when you're fetching all the stuff in out the gardens and you've got to prep it all. I mean, when you spend a day doing apples and you get an awful lot, because I fill a laundry basket size up with apples that we take off the tray, and then you've got to process it all, and yes, it takes all day. Even with two of us doing it, it can take all day. And it's like the same with beetroot. When you get a massive crop of beetroot, you know, you've got to get it all in, bring it in, you've got to clean it all up, boil it all, leave it all to cool, then separate it into bags for freezing, because that's my main source of preservation, of, you know, preserving things, is freezing. So I find it really good, and then I like to have a freezer full of food, and you just go and get it. It's a lot easier when you can do that. But of course it's the doing it. So with flour, that's because I'm looking at the flour. With the pastry, I always do that. I always make a batch of it. It's a lot easier when you come to have to do things. So I'm going to have to knead it a bit. Put it in the fridge, and my fridge, although it's set at the right temperature, it seems to not freeze things, but can set things quite well. Firmer than you like it to be. I should have took it out a bit sooner, I think. But I did take it from the freezer into the fridge overnight, so not to worry. I'll bring you back down so you can see what I'm doing. And we'll roll some pastry out. See what I mean? It's quite firm because it's been in the fridge. Just need to roll it big enough for the pan I'm using. It's going a bit better now. Just getting working it a bit into it. Be big enough, just about, I should think. That's just the right size. If I'm making a pie where I need a top as well, I use 2 of these. I have to take 2 out. And then normally you've got a bit of pastry left, so you always make that little jam pasty or something, you know, when you've got the spare bit of pastry. So I'm going to line this now. Once we've lined it, we can fill it. I think I've got to make sure that I don't chuck the lining underneath the parchment paper. It's in the right position. Because like I say, normally I cover it in grease-proof paper, but my daughter bought me these parchment sheets, and they are really good. The only pain of them is they do move about a bit. But, you know, apart from that, they're good. Right, we'll just level the top off that, hit a knife. Level it best we can, roughly. Doesn't matter too much. Just take all these loose bits off the edge. There we go. Oh, a little bit there, look. Won't be too much, just. There we go. Dispose of that bit. Not enough there to make a jam pasty. Right, so we'll fill it now then. I did have a big spoon somewhere. We'll put the filling in. I'm hoping this should be enough. Can you see? It's a bit gloopy actually. Actually, I think this is going to be just right. What did I put in there? It was a pint of boiling water, wasn't it? And then I don't know how much smash I put in, just thickened it. My goodness, could that be any better fit? If the cooking of it goes as well as the preparing of it, I should be well happy. That's perfect. If there's such a thing. Right, so what I'm going to do now, sprinkle the rest of the cheese on top. Can you see okay there? Let's bring it around a bit more. Just mess things up. We'll just sprinkle it with cheese. Like I said before, you put anything in it really, onions, salt and pepper. Although perhaps I wouldn't put salt in, I don't know. I don't usually when I'm doing potato. I've been known to put a bit of pepper in sometimes. But like I say, because it's smash, I haven't bothered. I think if I was to put onions in, I would grind them down finely. Like I do with when I do mince and that. I think that'll be enough cheese on top. be all cheesed up. Right, just press that down. Now what I am going to do, and I forgot to bring up, so I'm going to have to go back to the fridge, is I need some tomatoes on top. Pop a few tomatoes on top. Now I haven't got any big tomatoes, but I think I've got some cherry ones in there. So I'm just going to have a look and we'll see. So I'll take the milk and lift that with me as I go. So short of space that I'm talking the way as I go along, really. I don't know. Pack of cherry tomatoes. So we'll chop some of them up. It's a bit better, isn't it? Bring it up a little bit. Normally I'd use the normal size tomatoes, but we haven't got any. We've had salads over the Easter, and so we've used them. So we'll just chop some of these. Doesn't really matter too much what tomatoes you use. A bit juicy. Just put a few little ones along there. Anything with small ones, they're a bit fiddly, but not to worry. It's the flavour you want, isn't it? Just put them in little rows along. So there we have it, all ready to go into the air fryer. We'll go and take that down now, and we'll see what it does. Right, we've put the pie down. We're going to pop the air fryer on. We'll just flick it on. Okay. Actually remembered to take the inner piece out today. Normally I forget. So we'll put it in there. Make sure everything's in right. And we'll pop it into the air fryer. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to set it to 160 and do it for 24 minutes. I'll bring you round, if you can see that. Might be better that way. There we go. So let's switch it on. We're going to air fry for 160 and 24 minutes. There we go. And off we go. So hopefully that'll work out okay. Like I say, I'm a bit dubious about pastry. I've never done pastry in there before, but we'll see what happens. We'll come back to it when it's done. So it's just beeped. We're ready to have a look what it looks like. I'm always a bit nervous at this point. I'm not so worried about the filling. I'm more worried about pastry. Will it still be rawish or burnt? I could smell it cooking. It smelt nice, like it would from the oven, but let's see what it looks like. I'll just lower you down. Because I've put you on the table, it's a bit awkward for me to know where to place you, where you can see. But have a look. That's better, isn't it? So, oh, you know, that doesn't look too bad actually. You can see from there. Bring you over the top. That looks all right, doesn't it? Just nice and golden, the cheese is. I'm going to get something to lift it out with. Hold you with tea towels. I've tried using oven gloves in the past, but I don't get on with them. They're too thick and I can't feel what I'm doing now. I drop things too easily. I just don't find them safe enough. So we'll just want to look down. Move that back in there. We will have to sort a place where we can actually do this a lot better. We'll see. So there we go. It looks quite nice. Looks nice and golden. And the pastry, you can see the pastry, that doesn't look burnt on top. The only thing is, will it be cooked okay underneath? We'll have to see. It's too hot to lift at the moment. But the beauty that I put it in one of these cases is I'll be able to slide it out easily anyway, and then can see. So I'm going to leave it go cold because obviously I can't test it yet. And I'll come back to it in a little while. But for you, it'll be instantaneous. So we'll catch you in a little while. And just like that, I'm back. It's cool. Well, in reality, I'll tell the truth, it took a while to cool, so I nipped out, got some bits for the rabbit things for hoppities, and I got myself a cheeky Costa. But, you know. Anyway, it's cool, like I said, so we're going to try a slither of it, see what it's like. If I hold it up, you can see the pastry actually at the side. And that's cooked okay, that's nice. So we're going to take a very small slither of it. And we're going to see what it's like in the middle. I got it out nicely. It's kept its shape because it's cooled down. Right. Let's see if we get the knife under it. Oh, get it out. So, as you can see, that's cooked nicely. Pastry underneath looks fine. So we'll just have a taste of it. And we'll see what it's like. How cheesy it is the main thing for me. Oh yes, very cheesy. You can taste the cheese. We'll try a bit of this pastry underneath. Yeah, that's cooked okay. Actually, I'm quite surprised at that because I really didn't think pastry would work in there. Everybody raves about how good and all the things it does, but I really didn't think that pastry would work in there. But it seems to have done quite well, so I'm really pleased with that. Definitely tastes nice. You can tell there's potato in there, but you can taste the cheese. That's what I like, lots of cheese. It tastes nice. And like I say, you can put onion in if you like a bit of onion in there to add flavour. I'd mince it up quite small though to do it. Add a bit of salt, pepper, whatever you fancy in there really. It'd be quite nice. I imagine you can, if you've got a glut of tomatoes and you've got a method of drying them out, you can dry them out in the oven. I've got a dehydrator and you put them and dry them out and then grind them down, put them through a processor or something, grind it down very small so it's tiny or powdery. You could perhaps mix that in with the potato and you get a nice sort of tomatoey and cheese flavour as well. That would taste quite nice, almost a bit like a quiche, I suppose. But yeah, that's nice. And as you can see, where I've taken the slice from, you can see the middle of it. I'm well impressed, I must admit. So that's that for this week. Now next week I'm going to come back 2 days. On the Tuesday, I'm doing a homeschool collab. That's going to be hosted by Victoria from Home Educating the Mad Lads. And it's going to be based on a TV programme. I've never seen the programme, but it's called Room 101. Some of you might have seen it. And it takes different categories and you pick out the worst thing for each category and chuck it into Room 101. So it's going to be homeschool themed. So it'll all be different homeschool categories. So if you follow me for the homeschool or you're just simply interested in having a listen, join us on Tuesday. And we'll be doing that then. And then Friday, we'll be back with another air fryer recipe. I've got an idea already actually what I want to try next. I'm getting quite adventurous now, all these different things. Now I'm getting a bit more confidence in the things it can do. So we'll be back next Friday for another air fryer, get your words out, recipe, if that's what you follow me for there. So thank you for watching. and have yourselves a really good weekend and take care. Bye.